Hello, this is the podcast and social hour, and this is Matt, and this is
Michelle.
and we're just having a little conversation here, waiting on somebody who's very late. But we were talking about what it means to be a scary movie, and what do you think it means to be a scary movie?
Well, I don't like scary movies. Like, if it's something that could really happen to me, I really don't want to watch it. I'm not interested in, like, The Purge or something like that.
No, I don't like that.
That's just terrifying.
Either.
I would rather watch, like some weird zombie movie that couldn't really happen.
Yeah, like, I like new concepts of zombies, I will tell you that. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of there's a video game called The Last of Us. There's actually, they're going to be, HBO is actually going to turn it into a series, and,
Interesting.
and oh God, Game of Thrones is going to be played.
I never watched that either. That was too intense.
Well, anyways, in that, the main reason why people turned into these, they never really called them zombies, but the reason they turned into the infected or whatever was a fungus. Because I guess the creators got the idea from this parasite or something that attacks snails and things.
That sounds kind of terrifying.
And other...
Especially coming out of COVID, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to watch something that I can catch.
Yeah. Well, there's this like parasite that will attack a snail and make their little antennae things or whatever they are pulsate and climb up a tree, and it attracts birds so that they will eat the snail and then propagate.
Oh.
Which I think is interesting. In this case, it's just like fungus, and it's weird. It's like it looks like some kind of weird spores in the game, like growing on the body. It gets in the brain, and the main character somehow she's immune. She's immune, and then
it's like in the game. Can you, if they get on you, can you kill them before they get?
Oh
in your
yeah,
brain?
yeah. You can kill them. You can kill them as long. It's airborne, and it's but there's already, and then there's like these the disease itself, if you want to call it a disease, it's airborne, and so and then the main goal of the game is to get this girl to this organization called the Fireflies, where they're going to try to make some kind of antibody from her. But then the guy figures out what they're going to do to her. They're going to actually kill her because where it's located in her body is in the brain.
Oh.
And like so
That'd be an interesting dilemma. If you could possibly save the whole world, I'd probably let him kill me.
Well,
but you should have the choice. You should understand.
Yeah, and that's what I didn't understand. I didn't know if she knew it was going to go on. If she knew that, I don't know. Was she like 16 or? No, I don't even think she was 16 when it was like, I think she was like 14 or something.
That's an interesting concept. So, speaking of video games that are shows, have you watched the Halo?
Yes, I watched the first episode.
I watched the second episode yesterday.
I'm telling you, they've done Halo wrong. I'm not even.
My son said too. He said, "I'm not going to explain it to you in case more of it comes out later." But he says right now they're messing with things that are canon.
Yes.
And this is not okay. But he said they might be going to like bring him in a different way, and I don't understand it yet. Or they're just going to totally go off the rails.
To me, that is not Master Chief. I'm not even a big Halo fan. I don't know much about it. But to me, that is not Master Chief. Master Chief, in the entire Halo series, I don't think he ever took off his helmet.
That's what he said. That's the first thing he said. He's like, I can't believe he took off his helmet in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know anything about it because I've never played the game.
And then the thing what they're talking about, what's going to happen with Cortana.
Yeah.
They're saying, okay, she is going to be AI, but she's not going to be a hologram. And why didn't Master Chief have her already?
Well, it sounds like they're going to make her a clone and then convert her into AI, which my son was very bothered by the concept.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't know why that's not okay because it looks cute to me. And he's like,
Okay.
no, because you can't do that.
Okay, well, let me explain it to you. Okay, Cortana is like this in the Halo universe. There are these AI holograms. You know, they're usually about this big. The holograms are, anyways, and they're used for all sorts of things. But that doctor, she specifically made these things for the Spartans, and then the Cortana one was made for Master Chief. It's sort of like a coping mechanism.
Okay.
So there's Brad. And but like I said, it's like a coping mechanism for he, you know, it's not just strategic information and stuff like that. But hello,
Only 2 of us?
yeah,
2?
So it's really obvious that you're late.
2 people?
well, 2 other people called off.
Oh no.
Check out what Michelle did.
Oh my gosh. May I?
Uh-huh.
See, that is beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. I
Very
think I'm going
nice.
to take it back and put apples on it because it needs another color.
I would like that.
Uh,
Apples, lemons, you could do anything.
how are you today, Brad?
Oh, I'm a moving. It's a rushful day. It's definitely
Yeah.
Friday, I feel like.
That's stressful.
Have you?
We got March Madness going on up on the hill and everything.
What's that?
It's something they do with both buildings, the county board and Shelby Hills.
So the last game's tonight, right?
Yeah, it's like where they...
It's stupid
Oh.
basketball.
Yeah. So there's like a carry-in and everything.
It's like the
and-
day when it's almost over. Yay!
Yeah. So...
Why do they call it March Madness? That doesn't even sound like
Why
any.
do they call it that, Michelle?
I have no idea.
It
I can Google
doesn't
it though.
really,
Google, I'm sure Google
um,
knows. Because it's in March and it's stupid.
Me and Michelle were talking about, well, we were talking about video games, but then we were talking about that new, Halo series that was turned into a series.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Have you watched it?
No, I haven't. But I've heard a lot about it.
it's
Okay, so people that like Halo don't like it. People that don't know about Halo think it's okay. So
I don't know who this is
it's kind
for.
of your...
To me personally, I don't know who it's
Because
for.
Matt and my son are both into Halo, and they were like, they messed with the canon, whatever. And I'm like, some guy took off a helmet, so what?
Well-
and they're all like, Master Chief can't take off his helmet.
well, let me explain.
It's like the Mandalorian thing, right?
Yes. And,
Why do all these people have to wear helmets? People in costumes are scary.
it's mysterious. It makes him mysterious, and also, if he took off his helmet, he'd probably be scarred. Not look like this.
Well, he's got to be good looking, right?
We can only hope.
Right? I mean, come on. Who wants to watch an ugly guy in a show?
Yeah, I guess it's
What-
just they let your imagination.
Fat Thor.
Oh, no.
Well, he should have like these scars around around here and here because the procedures he went through as a child are And that was another thing. I thought he remembered what happened to him when he was taken. Like they didn't totally wipe his mind as a child.
I don't know. They seem surprised they remembered things. So I was like, it's not bad.
No, yeah.
So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll watch that.
Who is
I'm cool with
that?
that.
Did you watch the Fat Thor?
Yes, on Marvel. It was one of the Marvel movies, right?
It made me so sad.
Yeah.
I was mad the whole stinking movie
That was
because he was at the
hilarious.
beginning.
I
It was
liked-
not funny. It was
I liked it.
terrible. I know. I did
like it.
not.
Do you know who?
I had to watch that movie 3 times before I stopped hating it.
Oh my god.
Because I couldn't get past Fat Thor. I'm
Yeah.
like, why did girls watch these movies? We don't watch them. We want to see Thor. We don't want to see whatever that was.
That's funny.
do you know who? Oh God, what's his name? Oh God,
The Big
Lebowski.
Lebowski.
Oh yeah.
You ever?
I didn't know
They've
that.
sort of made Thor as that type of character.
And they call him that because after Matt told me that, I was watching the movie, so I stopped and I screenshotted it. And I'm like, look, they even call him that.
Right.
And it was like, because he's like,
Oh, I was so mad. That's all I was so mad about that. Jeff and I talked about
Yeah.
that. I was mad. It's like,
Hilarious.
no way.
yes,
I wanted him to like get his act together and grab his hammer the first time, and then he'd be buff again, and it'd all be okay.
You think?
That worked
Oh,
out for
It
you.
did not.
well, his
Then I could have lived with it, right? I could have gone past it.
Yeah.
well, when his mother figured out he was from the future in that movie,
She's like, eat a salad.
like, yeah, even though she knew that day she was gonna, she probably figured she was gonna die that
Sitting
day.
back, give him some good advice before it's too late, because he looked awful.
Yeah. But so,
I was noticing that.
well, I will tell you this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go see Batman in a theater again.
I remember you mentioning that.
Huh?
What didn't you like about it?
Oh, what didn't I? That
My son didn't like it either. He went and saw it.
oh, good. I got something you can agree on.
I think you guys probably agree on a lot. That's probably why we clicked.
I didn't really care for it. Well, first of all, I think they chose the wrong actor.
Okay.
The guy, it was in his contract to work out, and I remember hearing rebuttals about, oh, he didn't want to do it, and then he tried to get. Then there was another time he said he tried to get like pity on people, like saying, oh, I have COVID, and that he didn't.
Back to my Thor theory. I think that the people, if you're going to be a superhero, come on.
But anyways, the look of the costume. I mean, I could see there was a lot of different stories from different stories I could see, and I could see some of what I just didn't care for the story that they took most of this from.
What did you think about Lenny Kravitz's daughter as
Huh?
Catwoman? I can't think of her name, but she's Lenny Kravitz's daughter.
Lenny Kravitz?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she did an excellent job.
I really like her.
She did an excellent job. She was better than the guy who played Batman.
Okay.
She did it as Catwoman. The Mask, but I could understand what they were doing. They were going for a more realistic approach.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the idea of Bruce Wayne building his own gadgets and stuff like that. I mean, you don't really see him do it. I don't know what like decade this is. But I don't know if this is modern time or what.
I would guess present.
Yeah.
What do you think, Michelle?
I haven't seen it.
I would think that's
And
probably what they're
Women
going
Charlotte.
for.
That's what I would think. But I don't know, the whole idea of having the big fancy company that developed the stuff for him was kind of, like,
Yeah.
Okay.
that worked for me.
I like that. Well, see, here's the thing: is like what was the guy who directed those Batmans, or who was the guy who was in that Batman? That like not
The actor? Or
not Ben Affleck, but the one before that.
I can't. Is he the one that Heath Ledger was in? Are you referring to that Batman movie?
Yeah, I think
I have no idea who played that, but Michelle's going to
Heath
tell
Ledger. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he
After that,
I really like that series of movies. This series of movies.
Michael Keaton
Yeah, Mike.
or Val Kilmer or George Clooney is who they
Was it
listed.
George? No, it wasn't George.
Michael Keaton, I think.
He's from the 90s, though, isn't he?
Yes,
He's
Oh,
from-
Christian Bale.
Christian
Yeah,
Bale.
that's who it was. That's who he's
There were a lot of Batman. I didn't remember that many.
Yeah.
But I like his series of Batmans. I like that because except for maybe the last one, I didn't like the one with Bane in it. Oh God, Bane was
I
awful.
didn't watch that one.
They've made a they've
I loved all the ones from the 90s, though, as a kid.
really.
Yeah. I still watch them to this day. I really like them.
Oh God! As I got older, I could see through it because I'm like, yeah, these aren't that good.
No.
Like with the Batman and Robin, and the one with that was the one with oh God, the guy who played in ER or whatever.
George Clooney.
Yeah,
I like the one that has Jim
Or
Carrey as the Joker.
that was Batman Forever.
Okay. I don't know, the 90s ones hit like a core memory for me, so it makes me happy.
That one could have been better. Batman Forever could have been better.
Well, but that's when you know all the stuff. People like Brad and I who are just watching the movie, it's like, yeah, that was good for us.
Right? That's how, yeah.
The same with like the Halo. You and my son were upset about it, and I was like, oh, I thought that was a pretty good story.
Yeah.
I totally will buy that.
Yeah.
See, that's,
And
yeah,
because I don't know all the backstory, and he's all like, in the canon, this is like that, and he can't take off his helmet, and like, I'm like, but come on, you know.
Well, I'm not the only one who's like that because it's like, okay, they're also doing something called this. They're making their own timeline, and they're calling what I mean, the writers and stuff. It's like they're moving across. All this is from the video games, our books and stuff. And they're creating this thing called the Silver Timeline. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well, I get frustrated though because they make the story so adult all the time. It'll start out like the New Titans. I was watching that, which I should have known when it was on HBO. And so the first few, it's like, oh, well, this was really cool. So my son and I are watching them together. And then they get super adult. Well, I don't care if your son's an adult. No mother wants to watch that with their son.
Right.
And so I'm like, that was totally unnecessary.
I agree.
When you
So
mean
why
it's,
did they
when
have
you mean
to-
it's adult, what do you mean by that?
Like sex and,
Yeah.
you know, like, because you know it's going to be violent and you know there's going to be language. But it's like, I do not want to sit in a room with my son, even if he's an adult, and watch that.
I agree.
You know, so it's like,
I'd
what
be
the
so
heck?
awkward with my
So,
mom.
so right, you know, and it's like, I'm an adult. I wouldn't watch it with my parents, you know.
You wouldn't want to
And-
watch the.
So the storyline was fun because I didn't know who the, like Robin, the two different Robins, one was turned into Red Hood and the other one became the Nightwing.
There was 3 Robins on that show. I haven't even watched it, but I know there was.
But like, I guess that's comic book, right? One of them becomes like Nightwing or something like that. Is
the
that what it's
first
called?
Dick Grayson becomes
Yes.
Nightwing, and then after that it's
And then
there's
Jason Todd
Jason Todd. There's Jason Todd
becomes the Red Hood.
Then,
And so that's fun to know that stuff. But if you get to like the 5th episode and all of a sudden it's like they throw in these weird sex scenes that aren't necessary, it's like,
well, there was a
Right.
when that show was coming out, that people did not like how Starfire looked. I mean, it wasn't because she was African American, and
I
was
didn't know
like-
anything about her. I'd never heard of her before that.
And I was like, you could have made her look more like her origin, maybe because she is an alien, and she's got orange hair and her skin is dark. I mean, I've seen cosplayers that are African that look better than that. I mean, maybe it was
It's probably cheaper to make her like this.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're saying about. That's what
Because
they're.
she didn't need so much makeup and so much time. Because some of that makeup, you know, when you see like how much time they spend,
Oh, yeah.
you know, it's like that's expensive, really. Even if the supplies weren't expensive, to have an actor that you're paying this like millions of dollars sitting in a chair for like 3 or 4 hours a
Yeah.
day and no filming.
That's what they're saying about Halo is because, and yet when I watched it, I'm like,
Really?
because they're like,
The costumes?
well, yeah, not the costumes. I'm talking
Like
the
they're making the people up?
CGI, the CGI, and they're like, okay, if we want to do this, like, okay, I don't know. Did you
They
see?
did a good job with the CGI. The second, wait till you see the second one. I thought
Because there's not supposed to be any civilian, like, girl or anything in there. I mean, like I told you, Cortana is like his coping mechanism.
so the civilian girl that made him go like rogue doesn't exist in.
No.
But that storyline made sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, in this timeline,
So he's like this like Halo like Master Chief like computer enhanced like programmed guy that they
yeah, it's more
have
than a computer,
taken
his
since
body.
he was a child, and so he doesn't. They've wiped all his memories away of being a human, and he's just this thing. And they tell him to kill this girl, this young girl, and he decides that's wrong, and so he like totally just bails on all of his training and everything and says,
wow.
whatever, I'm out because I'm not doing that because that's morally wrong. And so, like, there's some relic that made him, like, come to himself. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
a weird concept. But but that makes sense to me. Like, you know, that
It
moral
does.
dilemma that, like, just flips a switch for somebody. You know, that makes sense to me how that could happen, right? That you could be doing something and think it's right. And then you see for yourself something that you know can't be right. And it's like, it makes sense that would totally blow him.
I agree.
I mean,
that's why we have a
away.
hard time making that decision on